All right, welcome everybody. I have Mark Tanner here from Qwilr. Mark, I'm just going to dive right in and let you share who you are, what you do, and I would love, before we dive into Qwilr specifically, to hear a little bit more about your background, where you came from, and how you got to where you are today.
For sure. Thanks, Karina. It's great to be here. So I'm Mark. I'm the COO and one of the co-founders of Qwilr. We're a Sydney-based startup working in documents and sort of the future of documents on the web. My background is straight out of university. I was lucky enough. I thought I was going to go down like the sort of management consulting path, and very, very, very luckily fell into a job at this ebook startup. Back when ebooks were like the hot, cool thing in like 2007, 2008. This was like at a time when, to be honest, in Sydney, in Australia generally, startups weren't really a thing. So it was an awesome time. We had an exciting first year of crazy growth and then a second year of not so crazy growth, which was fun and dramatic to see sort of both sides of the coin. But luckily enough, that led me into a job at Google, which was really fun. I got to work in basically in ebooks and other sort of digital media stuff during the rise of Android, which was an awesome time to be involved with Google Play and education and other fun parts of Google like Book Search and Scholar. So I did that for a few years in Southeast Asia and then a few years in New York, which was fantastic. And then I was sort of ready to move home. There was a girl, which was great. And there was also this interesting opportunity that I'd had with a friend of mine who we'd sort of known each other for many years. And there'd been this interesting thing he'd been working on, and all the stars aligned, and it all sort of came together, and we founded Qwilr.
That's awesome. So as the co-founder of Qwilr, give us a little bit of background on what this opportunity was, how you guys came about founding it, what was the need that you guys saw that people had, and what was that problem that you guys were really trying to solve?
Yeah, for sure. So Dylan, my co-founder, he ran his own agency, like a small agency, very much design and digital focused. They were pretty much within that space, like a full shop, doing pure design work, doing back end work, full stack, and then also like a combination. Ideally for them, a combination of the two. And his big thing as he sort of grew from small, tiny little mom and pop companies into doing he did some big stuff for Ogilvy and Saatchi and some local, some state governments in Australia. His big trick was whenever he did a proposal or a pitch, it would always be a website. And it's just like a great way to show off your brand and be very impressive. And it's like not the normal thing that you can do. But like websites are incredibly time consuming to make. So it was this incredibly painful process that he sort of went through, but he went through knowing that he sort of give himself a shot at these much, much larger deals. And really the idea for Qwilr came out of, why isn't it possible to make, what amounts to like a reasonably simple web page or a couple of web pages really, really quickly and easily? And why can't we do this in a beautiful, simple way? So the first versions of Qwilr were like very, very, very basic. But when he was pitching at Saatchi and Saatchi New Zealand on a project, they had a call in the morning, he sent them a website in the afternoon, and the MD called him up and was like, how did you make this? How was this possible? And that sort of started him down the path. When he and I met, the thing that sort of weirdly synced for us was in the Google Sydney office, there'd been this like very futuristic product called Google Wave, which the founder of Google Maps had started. It was, if you were really into like that sort of tech scene, it was like kind of a cool, interesting product. All of the collaboration stuff we use in Google Docs was all built for Wave. And so Wave ended up dying, rest in peace Wave. And all that team sort of got moved over to work on Google Docs. And there was a really interesting conversation going on in the office around, okay, so maybe Wave wasn't the future of communication in that sort of area, but kind of Docs isn't either. Like Docs is this like, it's kind of a Microsoft Office clone, right? Like it's this, it's great. Like we use it, like we use Google Sheets all the time. But it doesn't really fully embrace the power of the web. And so when I saw what Dylan had built, which, what we started with and what we still do today, Qwilr is a way to create your documents as beautiful and intuitive web pages. And there's all this stuff the web can do, like simple stuff like I want to embed a video, or I want to embed a spreadsheet, like a Google sheet, or I want to embed a form or a survey, or like my HubSpot calendar, or I'd like to have live chat, or I'd like to have, when this proposal is accepted, I want it to ping my CRM and be like, hey, HubSpot, this deal is closed. Like all those little things sort of weren't possible in the old world of files. And it was just like it sounded like a real, obviously we weren't there at the time. It was just like a simple little web page builder that could do a few cool little things. But the idea really spoke to me. So it was an awesome, awesome opportunity. So we dived in and founded it about a little bit over 4 years ago.
That's fantastic. That gets me excited.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And super cool with how you kind of translated some of your previous experience into this project. And I think that, when I look at Qwilr and some of the functionality that you guys have in there, I think that there's probably a lot of our listeners and a lot of people out there who have just never even considered that as an option.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally. And it's something that we come across all the time. And it's this funny thing that as soon as you have this little click in your mind, you're sort of like, why is it like this thing that I use every day, whether it's PDF or Word or PowerPoint, it's like the only thing, especially people who are like your listeners, like in sort of HubSpot land, like it's the only thing that's not connected. Like files are this weird, like, maybe you have to upload it to DocuSign to give it like the tiniest bit of intelligence. But everything else, like in your tool set, like speaks to each other and communicates, and there's APIs and all that sort of stuff. And they also, like, to be honest, everything like looks good, except for like, these like pretty ugly, dumb PowerPoint or Word docs that you send out, which like all fine. And we've all done that for a long time. But sort of this idea of just being able to like quickly and easily make a web page instead, and all the fun things you can do with the web around design, around, like interactive content, around analytics, around security, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's that sort of, we feel like we've done a lot, but we also feel like the web is this amazingly open expanse that can do so much that we're sort of only still just scratching the surface of what we can do. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the HubSpot integration, like what that does and how it interacts with HubSpot.
Yeah, for sure. So look, I mean, for us, like one of our, and I think this is reasonably maybe a little obvious from our story. So like we started with Dylan's agency, like we very much, still have agencies like a core part of our business. I'd say that maybe a quarter of our customers, maybe even slightly more, are agencies around the world. So the HubSpot part came pretty organically. We use HubSpot internally. Especially for our sales team. And we sort of, obviously like Qwilr, you can use us for any document you want. And a lot of people do use us for like, a whole range of things. I would say like our sweet spot where we're really, really good is on the sales collateral side. So like proposals, quotes, pitch decks, presentations. I think the thing that we're sort of realizing to some degree is just like, there's also a degree of like marketing collateral that lives a little earlier than that. And the nice thing with the HubSpot integration is that HubSpot's so great at inbound. And then it's like, either you're using HubSpot's tools or some of Qwilr's tools to nurture, and then you go through the sales process. And we're sort of, if you're using HubSpot CRM as we do, we thought like, why aren't we being able to play nicely in that sort of space? So look, our integration with HubSpot is like a reasonably simple one, but we sort of brought Qwilr inside HubSpot. So it's a little widget inside the CRM. You can also use it inside the marketing tools as well. But basically all it does is it just, we have a series of variables throughout Qwilr. So you can pull in all the data from HubSpot. So if you've got like a templated sales process, which we very much didn't in the early days, like we were just like, custom doing things for any large deal that came along, being like, please work with us. But as we sort of come into like a more professional setting, the ability to have like, a few documents that are reasonably well templated, that flow together, that have a logical flow throughout them. And look, you can still go and customize them, but the ability to one-click create a template that pulls in all the relevant variables, name, company name, like the sales rep's name, the date of last contact, etc., from all the stuff you have stored in your HubSpot CRM, being able to bring that into the proposal, so it's already fully customized, and then you can immediately grab that link, send it out. You then get notified back inside HubSpot, hey, this has been viewed. Hey, this has been viewed X number of times. You can sort of look and be like, oh, should I follow up or not? You can then click into the Qwilr to see the detailed analytics of what section do they actually care about. If you've got an accept block, so we support like accept, e-sign, and payment inside Qwilr. If they've gone through and accepted your proposal, you can see that, and that'll like sync back up into HubSpot and into the deals section as well. So it's just like to be honest, one of those things where like it was kind of a nice one for us because A, our customers were asking for it, and B, our sales team was asking for it. So it was just like, this makes sense. And so that's basically it. It's a really easy way to sort of create those documents internally, especially if you have a templated sales process. And obviously, if there's one where you've created it and you need to customize, it's one click to edit. HubSpot has a really great OAuth API, so you can just like log straight into our product, go and edit exactly that document, close that tab, you're back in HubSpot, and everything lives in that one space.
Yeah. And I got to watch a demo of that integration. And, with a lot of, native integrations that I look at in HubSpot, there's a lot of times that I ask questions of, well, can it do this and can it do that? And most of the time there's a lot of, not really, kind of. But like with every question I had of, you hit on a lot of them, can it do this and that? Like the answer was yes. It's a really, really nice integration. And I don't just say that lightly. I think it's really awesome, and it's nice
we put a lot of work into it, and I think it's also like we put a lot of design work into it. I think sometimes it can be, you can make those integrations very functional, but like kind of like a little bit hard to use and non-intuitive, and like trying to like there's a funny thing you have to play around with, like how much of like HubSpot's design language do you lean on versus Qwilr's design language, and trying to make it intuitive in there too. I would still say like there's more we want to do. Like we would love to integrate, like one of the things we don't do, which is coming soon, is like the ability to integrate deeply with products. So you can, if you've priced it out in HubSpot, we have a really powerful quoting tool inside Qwilr, which because it's a web page and you send out a quote, you can have like optional things. So it's like, hey, here's the fixed price. But if you would like to have, here's some, you can either do packages like, gold, silver, bronze type thing, and they can select which one they want, and that'll automatically update. Or you can do stuff like, be like, hey, here's the core package, but here's some optional extras you can select. You want, yes, no, or hey, I want 5 of those, or whatever. And that, to have that, sync back into both the deal value and also into the product, so that there's like one source of truth, would be like is the next sort of iteration of this that's coming. But look, I think there's always, with all these integrations, whenever you do them, especially with ones that you use yourself, there's always like, and I think this is true of startups generally, I am so absurdly proud of what we've done at Qwilr, and I'm also like impatient to release the next version, just eternally being like, oh, come on, let's get it out. So anyway.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I think, what's refreshing for me to hear is one, that you guys are using it. And I think that's what makes it so good, is that your team is actually using the integration and using both tools. And I think that, there's some integrations and even some tools where you look at it and you think, did somebody actually from this company ever go in and try to use this in a real life scenario? And you guys are obviously living and breathing that. And I think that that's a really, really cool piece of it. So who is, I think it's kind of obvious, but like, who's a good fit for Qwilr? Like, is there kind of I know you guys say, doing quotes and things like that are your sweet spot, quotes and proposals, but is there really a sweet spot for, who you guys are working the most closely with or seeing the most success for?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, so the big groups for us are, and I think this, again, if you think about our product, like, a way to create your documents as web pages, I think there's like a natural group who are sort of are drawn to that. So anybody in agency land and marketing land who are focused on that sort of thing, who care how they're presented and how they're viewed, who are in a competitive space, who want to be like, who have like just amazing digital assets that you can use. Like, oh, I've got this awesome video and I've got these other interesting things that I would want to plug in, and just being able to use that in a quickly and easy way. So agency people, anybody in tech and software and IT and other services, sort of groups like that is another big one for us. We also have like professional services, consulting, real estate does quite well with us. But then we have this absurd long tail where, we have like a lot of events companies and conference companies who use us. Again, they're very regularly doing quotes and like sort of doing events and doing other things that you can sort of use Qwilr for in interesting ways, both for like the program of a conference, but also for like reaching out to sponsors as well as individual delegates. Again, with the HubSpot integration, every single delegate you pitch can have a personalized reach out, like rather than like, hey, here's a brochure, here's like a lightly personalized brochure. Like that like means something if you can, it easily. But then there's like, we have like aerospace companies and like construction firms and like strangely a very large window cleaning company in South Africa. So like, it's a weird mix because everybody, like this is a reasonably universal thing, but I would definitely say like tech and software and IT and professional services, as well as like our base of agencies would be our, probably one of our strongest spots.
Yeah. Well, Mark, this has been a real treat. Thanks so much for joining me today. It was great to hear a little bit more about you and about Qwilr. I'm really excited to have you guys as a sponsor of the Hubcast. If people want to get in touch with you, learn more about Qwilr, or have questions for you, is there a way to get in touch with you, find you? Are you on the Twitter, LinkedIn, any of that good stuff?
Yeah, I am. So I'm on LinkedIn, and I check the LinkedIn inbox reasonably frequently. But I'm on Twitter as well, so it's just Mark E. Tanner on Twitter. And look, I'm also, you can just feel free to reach out to me. I'm Mark at Qwilr.com. And we're, Qwilr, I should say, is Qwilr. We have
I'll put it down here.
Yeah, put it down the bottom of the link there. But yeah, look, very happy to reach out and chat. We love, like, we've really, I know everyone must say this, but like, we are part of the community in HubSpot, and like we love working with other HubSpot agencies and partners. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks, Karina.